My name is Thabiso, and on this episode we had the one and only Thembo John Monareng. He is a 100-meter athlete, so he just tracks, and he spoke to us about the lonely side of sometimes being on that single track. Why it's so important to sometimes stick to your lane. It's such a cliche saying that we do in life, but it's so important to stick in your lane. And of course, he spoke to us about just overall having respect for himself, his coaches, and in life. Cannot wait to get into this episode. Welcome back to another episode of the BFIT Podcast. My name is Thabiso, and our guest today, this guy, man, I barely saw him get in here. I don't know how fast he is. Thembo John Monareng.
The one and only.
Why did you choose to go with Thembo, not John?
Hey, listen, you need to ask my parents, I would actually prefer them if they would have called me John. Because you know how many people misconfuse my name with Themba. So,
Exactly that.
so every single time when I say Thembu, they're like, Themba. I'm like, nah, guys, it's an O. It's Thembu.
So, okay, wait, now I have to ask you this. Because het wordt Thabiso genoemd in Thabiso genoemd.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Is it Thembo or Thembu?
Thembu.
Goodness gracious.
Thembu.
What is it short for? Is it short for something? That's the name? What does it mean?
That's the name. So the name means hope. So
Aha.
when I was younger, it's a funny story. My parents used to tell me this. So when I was younger, my parents wanted to call me Valentine. So that would have been because my birthday's on Valentine's Day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So my mother wanted to call me Valentine's, and the family members around us like, listen, they're gonna mock this kid. You can't call him Valentine's. Yeah. So one day she was busy asking around, and she didn't know, and she looked up, and she saw my name written in the sky, Thembu. Yeah, it's yeah. No, I don't know how, what she saw, but she yeah, that's what she tells me.
And then by origin, because your surname Monareng.
Ke Monareng.
Monareng leans to Setswana.
Setswana. Yeah, that's my mother's side of the family.
Okay.
Like we are called Monareng, and my father's side is Maseko. So they are Swati. Seswati.
We have something in I almost said in communion. Wow.
You have-
We have something in common. My dad is also Swati. And my mom
Okay.
is Xhosa.
Okay.
I'm a Kambule.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit more about your upbringing, your childhood, before we get into what you do.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit more about your childhood. How did you have a good childhood?
Well, I think I can't say I had a bad childhood because you know what, like, me and my parents, or me and my mom initially, we were raised by this lady called Connie de Vos. So she's a white lady we used to stay with, and she like pretty much helped me through primary school. I was also raised in, like, I went to school to a white school, so that's also how I know Afrikaans as well. Yeah. Yeah, I can. So yeah, so for the first part of my life, that's what happened. So we used to stay with this lady. So then when I went to grade 8, well, first of all, before that, I was training with a lady called Audrey Skuman. So she used to train me. I converted to her when I was I think it was grade 5, and yeah, I was training with her, and I was still staying with the lady. So when it was time to go to high school, so the lady told us, listen, she's not gonna stay in Pretoria anymore. She's gonna go to Cape Town to go stay with her kids. And I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, everything is this side for us. So it doesn't help we go to Cape Town, that side. We're gonna be far from everything. So it's not just a bus or something we could just take and go, go home. So I'm like, it's better to stay here because everything is here. Training here, I'm going to school here, my friends are here. So then then my mother was like, okay, cool, you'll stay in hostel for like the first year and see what happens. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll go to a hostel. So I also went to high school, also in Afrikaans school. We could say Hoërskool Garsfontein. That's where I was. Yeah, that's where I was. So I used to stay in hostel, I think my whole grade 8th year. And then grade 9, I kind of got fed up with it. So I spoke with my coach at the time, Audrey Skuman. So she welcomed me into her house, so to stay with them for the rest of my high school years.
Wow.
Yeah, so so obviously my upbringing was challenging, cause I didn't see my mom and them as much. So I really saw them when I could see them, because they were staying all the way in Hammanskraal. So it's not that far, but at the time I was still in high school, didn't have a license, didn't have a car, so it was always like a challenge to go see her, to go visit her. So most of the times, like, I was surrounded with people, it's a different life. It's a different life that I was exposed to, and there was a lot of things I was exposed to a young age, whereas obviously we know the lifestyle in the ghettos. We can't, you can't really, you need to behave when you're like in a certain space. So yeah, and I'm grateful for everything that has happened, because it really shaped me as a person. It really taught me a lot. At the time, it wasn't nice. Like, I was always fighting. Like, couldn't understand at the time why I need to go through this. But as life progresses and life went on, I actually understood. Like, you know what? Okay, now I know why I had to go through it.
Yes, I
So
love that. I'm gonna come back to that. It's something that I've
yeah.
noticed as we were chatting.
Okay.
You haven't really spoken to me a lot about your pops, but it
Yeah.
was your moms that was in
Yeah.
the picture quite
Yes.
a lot.
Yes.
What happened to that?
Dad, I'm not really sure what happened to Dad, so it's still something him and I we need to speak about. So him and my mom, I'm not sure what happened there, but me and my pops, because for years I was like angry, because why was he not in my life?
Yeah.
And as a young boy, you want your father to be there, and like me and my pops, only recently, I think it was 3-4 years ago, where we actually recently started to have a real conversation. And and as I also matured as a person, I also understood that, like, who am I to judge him for what he did? Because I don't know what happened. So I'm angry at this person, but I don't even know what I'm angry about. So as I met my father, and I saw how he is, like, he's a very kind-hearted person as well. Like, he's a lot like me. Him and I are very alike. So yeah, we used to talk, and we still do talk. We still keep in touch. So I still see him here and there. So there's still a lot of patching up, so, like, to dos between us. And I've told myself it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be overnight. Um, what? Props to my mother. Like, she's been through a lot as well. She's even till this day, she's there. She always how moms are. So yeah, so me and my mom, we tight. So everything that she knows, everything that's going on in my life, and we help each other where we can. My mom has helped me a lot through my entire life. So everything that I'm doing is for her, and like, this is something I want to share with my pops as well, because that's just the kind of person I am. And yeah, not to judge like what he did, like, it's just to patch up and look into the future, and not look into the part of.
I'm particularly touched by what you said, because I'm a stepdad,
Okay.
and to some level I can see my boy going through all of the motions, but sometimes I'm not really sure what to do,
Okay.
and how to approach a certain situation.
Okay.
But I think one thing that I told myself is I'll always be there.
Yes.
That I
Yes.
will always do. I'll
Yes.
always be there.
Yes.
And it touches me that you have chosen, first of all, to think logically about the situation,
Yes.
to forgive,
Yes.
and to not be angry, and to such an extent
Yes.
that you even want to share your good moments,
Yes.
even though this particular person hasn't been really part of your life.
That's.
So what tends to happen with these cases is that the boy or the girl or whoever the child is, it's either they become just like their dad or just like their mom times 10, or they go the exact
Opposite. That's.
of that.
Yeah. For years, I told myself, listen, I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be. But the more I said it, the more I was like him.
Oh,
You understand? So then I realized that, I need to forgive him, because how am I gonna expect God to forgive me if
Come on, man.
if I don't forgive him for whatever reason he decided to understand, and also to go back to step to be you being a stepdad. um I wouldn't say I wasn't fatherless throughout my high school career, because I had a somewhat figure of a father. So my coach at the time, Audrey,
Oh, nice.
her husband. So I saw him as my father figure, because they invited me into their home, and you know what, like they saw me as one of their own,
Come on.
and for that I'll always be thankful and grateful for. And you know what, he truly showed me like what it is to be a man. Understand? So he like, even though he was not my real father, but he was there. Like he was always supportive. He was always, you know. We had our moments. We had our fights. Obviously, like every house has its
Yes,
cross.
for sure, for sure.
So
And builds the relationship actually
yes,
stronger.
and our relationship was good. So that's why in your case, I feel like if you would just be there for the kid. I mean, like the more he grows up, and the more he develops as a person as well. I think you being there for him is more than enough, because obviously you can't take the role of biological father.
Sure.
So you just being there, it's more than enough.
It's quite amazing that you say that, man, because I've been battling with this whole thing of being in between. Like
Yeah.
we're always in between, eh? Like
Yeah.
we're always in between, man.
Yeah.
We're in between our now and where we want to go. So you're always here in between. And I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
being in between sometimes is a very hard thing.
Amen.
But I think the weekend that just passed, as well, showed us something amazing about being in between. I mean, Jesus was crucified and he was in between these two sinners,
Yes.
these two robbers,
Yes.
but yet to free them. And I think it's not really a bad place to be in between. It's just to basically take on the journey.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to stick to me saying journey and segue into this. You have an amazing journey, man. You are, of course, a 100-meter sprinter. You're an athlete.
Yes.
Now, we
Yes.
spoke about coaching and we spoke about the people that are in Thembo's life.
Yes.
And you said that these people that were in your life and these families, different families that were in your life, basically
Yes.
helped you to be who you are today.
Yes.
How important is a family structure that supports you in what you do? How important have you found that to be?
For me, I found it very important, because you know what, like if I feel like if you don't have that supporting system, that supporting structure, especially with our sport, because athletics it's an individual sport. So once you line up in the line, once you line up there, it's you and yourself. It's not a team sport. If it was a team sport, it would have been a different conversation. But obviously now I'm in an individual sport,
Yeah.
sporting code. So it's all you. So if you mess up your race, if you false start, it's on you. You can't say it's me and coach, and no, it's you. So you can't. And obviously, like what happens throughout your journey, like the challenges that you face. You can't do that by yourself. So that's why I feel like it's important to have like a supporting system and structure to, like, what, keep you grounded, keep you sane, keep you humble. Because there's a lot of things that comes with that success. So you need to have the right people in your corner to, like, keep you sane and keep you humble. Because even not just keep you humble, but let's say you go through some things and um you're not, and it's affecting your competition or your performance. Like, who do you go to? Who do you speak to? Who do you like? You need that person. You need that somewhat support to let all those frustrations and everything out. Because what happens outside of the sport, or what happens inside of the sport, sorry, is a true reflection of what happens outside.
Ooh.
So that's
My
why.
guy, you're touching on so many points. We have to go to a break. There's so much that I have to ask. There's so much that I have to ask. There's a lot of challenges that I have to ask about this being an individual sport. Because most of the
Yes.
sports that we actually do get, it's team sports, but this is an
Yes.
individual sport, like I
Yes.
said. And there is.
Oh, man,
Alright,
like I said,
we're back here on the BFIT Podcast. My name is Thabiso and our guest today is Thembo Monareng. Ons chat lekker saam met hom, ons chat 'n bietjie trek. And he mentioned a very important thing, that his sport is basically an individual sport. Yes, he has a team around him that helps him, but when he's on the track and when he is in that starting block and he just basically gazes down to that finish line, it's him and the finish line only.
That's it.
Do you have like a specific lucky track between 1 and 9?
That's a very good question. I would say lucky number for 100 meters would be from 4 up until 7.
For real?
Yeah, those for me are the lucky number. Well, I would say lucky, but lane 8 also works for me because I've been thrown in the deep end. They say go in lane 8 because now in lane 8, there's only people on your left. There's no one on your right hand side. So you're on the far right of the track, and that helped me. Like sometimes that is also a thing to help you to like just focus on you, because you're not boxed in. You're not in the middle, because it can really get tense towards the line when you're boxed in the middle. When you're on the outside, it's like they forget about you. You're not there.
It's quite interesting that you say that, because I know with Sha'Carri Robinson's last run,
yes,
she was on the 9th lane.
Outside lane. She planned it like that.
Exactly that.
She planned it like that. Yes.
And she did amazing.
Yeah.
Would you say that whole thing of literally, zoning out from whoever's here?
Yes.
Okay, you have the crowd here.
Yes.
But zoning out from whoever's here and concentrating in your lane,
yes,
and basically going for that win, helps.
It helps. But the thing is, it's in our sport, it's more mental than anything. I think in any sport, it's more mental than. I feel like I always tell the people, I'm like, listen, you can be in top shape, but if you're not mentally there, you're not going to do good.
Ooh.
I think with us, like in every single lane that they give you, because you can't tell them, listen, I want this lane. So you need to run in whatever lane they give you, and you need to have that mindset of, you know what, you don't care. Let's say, for instance, they give you lane 4 or 5. Yes. You're pretty boxed out. You're pretty boxed in. So you need to like tell yourself that, you know what, you don't care what's going on, like who's on your right hand side and who's on your left hand side. You need to constantly focus on yourself and what you need to do and how you need to execute your race, because anything can happen. Anything can happen at any time. Anything can happen in a final. I've been in a lot of finals where I've been counted out as to not getting top 3, and I've gotten top 3. Like last year for world students in China, at the USA Championships, I was not even in the top 5, and I ended up coming second. So then I went to China. So it's very like, it's purely based on, in that race, like because I was in lane 7 in that final, and I didn't care what was happening on my left hand side, and I purely just focused on myself, and came second, like by a split second.
You just mentioned there that you were in another country. How has your talent and how has your calling provided for you?
Another good question. So I've been traveling to different countries since I was 18. So it started off with Africa. Well, African is still our continent, but let's say 19, because that's Europe. How's it been? So your question was, how
has it provided for you in every sense? Like you can say financially, you seeing other countries, are you experiencing other cultures?
Yes. It's always been a thing of mine. It's always been a thing that I've always wanted to do. So I remember in high school, I told myself, I'm like, listen, I would like to travel and see the world, and by saying it and by speaking it and putting it out there, it happened. I was fortunate enough to see 7 to 8 to 9 countries over the span of 5 years.
Goodness.
So and financially, on a financial standpoint, I was sponsored by I'm still running with the gear, but I had a junior sponsorship, I think, for like 4 years. So with Puma, where they like paid me and all these things, and obviously my life also took a dip. So there was a lot that went on outside of track, dealing with personal things at home. So obviously my performance dipped. So like there was a lot of friction with the people that helped me get the contract. So then I ended up losing it. But at the time, I think it was a blessing in disguise because had I kept on going in that direction, I don't think I would have been sitting here, and I don't think I would be in a good place right now, because I drifted away from a lot of things. I drifted away from who I was as a person. I drifted away from God a lot. Like there was I was in the wrong environment. I was not with the wrong around surroundings. I was not surrounded with the right surroundings around me. So for me, as I had to go through that. I always say I needed to go through that. I needed to experience that for when something like when a blessing comes up now in my life, because I always say like like for me is I went through that, yes, and I stumbled, I fall, and I regrouped. I've stood up, and I changed coaches again. So to take 2 steps back, because there was a lot of imbalance and there was a lot of things that was not in place. So and I knew that at the time. So I knew also I had to change. So I changed coaches, and it's been 3 to 4 years now that I'm working with my current coach. His name is Arno Snyman. Very good. So and things are slowly but surely starting to like get back to where it used to be, and even better right now. So that's why I'm like, now if all those things come back again with sponsors, exposure and all this, I'll be much more mature to like handle the pressure and everything better, because it's always a thing of once you go through things outside of your sport, like the stress and the pressure inside the sport, it's nothing. Like it's nothing compared to what I've been through, and to a certain extent still is going through. So yeah, that's why to come back to a question, that's why the sport has also taught me a lot, because it also taught me to like deal with the challenges outside of the sport.
You mentioned something very important there, and I'm gonna basically come in like this with this question, right? We as men, we are egotistic, and there is a lot that basically in the world forces us to be these men. You shared this now with us, and I can imagine for any other man it's very difficult to share that, hey, I fell, but I'm rising up again. Why was it important for you to share now, and how long did it take for you to actually be able to share your story and say, okay, cool, this is actually what happened to me, and it happened?
I think it's facing all my fears and facing everything head on, because at the time, like the world is like you just said, men need to be these strong and masculine guys, and like sometimes you forget to like reflect and deal with your emotions. Like you tend to like push them to the side, and for me is I'm like, okay, you know what, I need to deal with this, because if I deal with this I will grow. And I'm happy that I've dealt with all of those things, with all of the challenges that was put in my path, and I understood that like everything happens for a reason.
Because now you can advise other people to not go into those potholes as well.
Yes, and at the same time, it's not to like it's not even to tell them, listen, follow my path, because every single person is different. It's just, for me, I want the people to like understand that it is okay to like fall and stumble, and and like reflect and ask yourself, why did I fall, why did I stumble, and then acknowledge the problem, because I feel like most of the time as men, we're too quick to blame, and we're too quick to
preach. We do not take responsibility.
We don't take responsibility. And like for me as a person and as a man, I feel like I have grown so much, I've matured so much. I've now when I'm put into a situation where I was a few years ago. I'm like, this is not where I need to be. At the time, it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is something new. I'm not really, I was not really exposed to this, but let's try it out. But now it's like, okay, I'm not familiar with this, but you know what? There's just something, my gut. There's just something that tells me no.
What have you recently said no to?
I've sacrificed a lot, nightclubs, drinking, certain type of friends, that still keeps on doing those things. Obviously for my sport, it's not gonna benefit me. So, and it's not gonna benefit me where I want to go in life, what the goals I want to achieve in life. So I've also realized that, it is an individual sport, and I need to be alone now and focus on what I need to do now, because at the end of the day, I'm 25 right now, and we are limited with our career. We don't even know when the end of our career, because it could be any day. So our careers are not that long. It's only a small period of time in our lives that we doing this. So when you do this, you need to take whatever you can out of the sport, as much as you can, because after this, what you're gonna do? So you need to take as much as you can in the sport. And the thing is, that's only something I realized lately, because at the time I was 19, doing well, traveling, I didn't think about all of these things at the time. You're young. I mean, no one told me how to, I wasn't, I didn't have that person to guide me. Listen, don't do this, do this. I had to deal things with myself. I had to fall, I had to stumble, I had to figure things out by myself. And and the thing is, for me, is I trusted God the entire time.
You're doing great. You're really, really doing great. I'm listening to you, and I'm listening to basically where you were, how you're explaining to me how you've grown and where you are now, which is absolutely amazing. And when we come back from a break, this is the question that I have for Thembo, right? Is that, of course, this is a 100-meter athlete, and he's alone, and as they say, the way to the top sometimes gets lonely. So we'll return back from the loneliness of actually being in your own track, but also, can I say, the important message of, there's this cliche saying that, guys, stick to your lane.
Yeah, I've heard that.
In life, how much has your sport taught you about life as well?
Sure, my sport has taught me everything about life. The principles about life.
Exactly.
Because also the sport has also taught me more about longevity, trusting the journey, having faith in what you're doing, because if you don't have faith in what you're doing, it's not going to work. So within the sport, when you're doing something and you don't believe that it's going to work, it's not going to work. Same with life. If you don't believe the things that you're doing, or the journey you're on, that you're actually on the right track and doing the right things to get where you want to be one day, it's not going to work. So the sport has taught me a lot. The sport has taught me, how to manage my emotions, because
Sure, man.
It's more than just running. It's more than just, because it's more than just that. I think it's bigger than us. It's bigger than what we think, because we stand there and you want to run well, you want to perform well, and every single time you're on the track, you want to run a PB, but you need to understand that your body's not like that. You can't always be at your best level. You can't always perform there, and you are going to have times where you will dip, but you need to understand that this is you need to go through that to go up again.
For sure.
It's it's the same with life. You stumble, you fall, you pick yourself up, you rise again, and then you fall, and then it's an ongoing learning curve. I think the most important thing for me is learning and keep on learning, because there's always something new. There's always something that's gonna pop up. There's always something to learn. So I think that's what I am obsessed about. I'm obsessed of learning, and I'm obsessed of going against the grain, going against the noise. Because there's a lot of people that would believe, okay, but this is the only way to do things, and this is how. And then I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take the longer route, and we'll meet each other. We'll meet each other in front. So I believe like I've been taking the long route and we're still in it. So it's now year 3, year 4 with my new coach, and things are, slowly but surely getting where it needs to be.
So in your line and what you do, there are a few greats, right? I think someone that really pops up firstly is Usain Bolt.
Yes, definitely.
Noah Lyles.
Definitely.
When you look at those athletes and you look at those people, and also one thing that you mentioned there that is so important is that there was a journey.
Yes.
For them to get to where they need to be.
Amen.
In your case, how important is patience? And I'm going to concentrate only on that.
Okay.
I think we miss it sometimes, even in our personal lives.
Yes.
But how important is patience? And what does patience mean? That journey mean in what you do?
I think patience goes hand in hand with having faith. Because looking at all of those guys that Bolt that has made it, Noah Lyles that's doing very well right now. Sorry, I think all of them have a story. Usain Bolt has a story. Noah Lyles, all the great athletes that's seen as great athletes, all of them have stories. Like not one of them had it easy. Obviously, like there's always going to be someone that has it easier than you, and that's always going to be someone that has it not as easy, a little bit more difficult. So, talking about patience, I think having patience is such a big thing, because we sometimes as athletes, we are patient up until, what's the word? We are patient, but we don't stick through. Like we don't go through.
I hear you. The
perseverance and endurance part, and not seeing results for like a year, 2, 3. We're not.
Yes, that's long.
It's the thing is it's hard. It's not as easy, because what I've seen with a lot of athletes as well, like they're only patient when it's going well. But once things are slowly but surely not going the way they want to go, like they start getting impatient and start losing trust in what they're doing, and they lose trust and faith right before the biggest blessing comes. So that's what I've seen with myself. Because if I can use myself as an example, last year I was not supposed to go to China. I was not having a good season at all. I wouldn't say not at all, but I wasn't having the best of seasons. And there was a lot that was going through my mind. I was ready to give up. I was like, no, am I still, who I was? Where am I going? And I kept on praying, and I kept on having faith, and I prayed for breakthrough, and I spoke to God, and I was angry, and I was frustrated, all this. This is why I said in the beginning, like there's a whole lot of emotional aspect and emotion that, not just emotion, but a lot of things that happens that people don't see. People see the star. And
they don't see the prep work before.
They don't see the prep work. And they see a star, and they think, that guy's untouchable. And no, that person is human being. That person is just like you and I. Like he's in a position now to execute because of he's enduring and all those. Just because he's there before me doesn't mean like I failed.
It's Thembo, but now I must ask you. You're on such a good point now. Like all of that pressure, I'm listening to you now. All of that pressure, you basically have to. What do you do with it? Do you put it in the back of your mind? Do you lock it up before you go on a track? Because there's so much pressure, and it's like, these people are looking up at me or to me. There's a coach that I can't disappoint. At home, I'm thinking about mom, I'm gonna flip. Mom, I'm running for you. So there's the little kid that basically looks up to you back from home. Okay, cool. I'm looking up to this guy. So there's all of this that's going on in your mind, but yet you still have to run this race.
You have to run this race, and it's a good point that we're on, because a lot of athletes have, like I said, like we mentioned earlier, like a lot of people, that's where the support structure comes in. That's where it's important to have a support structure that no matter what happens, they'll still support you and still love you for who you are. Because at the end of the day, we are not defined by what we do. Because we should always ask ourselves, like, who are we if we can't do what we love to do? So this is the importance of the support structure. And the thing is, what also comes with it is experience. Like, you can't expect you can't expect a high school kid or like there is a lot of outside there is a lot of athletes that does well, like Arian Knighton. I think he's 19 this year, but I mean, like, he was 18, 17. He already had Olympic gold. It's not common. It's here and there that you hear about these guys. I mean, look at Letile Tebogo. He's 20, 21 this year. He already has, I think it was 20 last year. He already has a silver world championship medal, and he's like 19, 20. So it's not impossible, but I think everyone has their own thing, what they do, what they need to do in order for them to be ready on the line at the day when you need to compete. So it's not a thing of where you can generalize it and say, okay, but this is what you need to do in order for you to be ready. Like, I think you need to figure out what triggers you. Like, how do you get triggered? Like, not triggered, like, how do you stay focused? How do you, like, just stay in your lane?
Yeah.
So
there's a saying that goes, you can't live by people's praises because you will die by their crit.
Yes.
You mentioned that it is important for you to have a good support structure in and around you.
Yes.
Would you say that good support structure is also people that always tell you, you're good, go for it? Or is it also people that tell you that, hey, you're messing up here? You're doing bad here.
No, the people I have in my corner are always calling me out on my where I lack. And I think that has helped me a lot as well as an individual, because I can grow from that. I can work on a few things, and the best relationships that I have is the people that's calling me out and telling me, listen, you're doing wrong there. And also, like, vice versa, I can call them out and say, listen, what you're doing now, you're messing up. It's not, we don't pretend, because it's not, the thing is with me, like, I want to give it, I'm very outspoken. It's it's not always a good thing. I understand that. It's not always a good thing. I'm very outspoken. So I'm not like, if I don't like something, like, I wouldn't like tell you, listen, I don't like this about that guy. I'll go to that guy and say, listen, I don't like this about you. What's going on? Let's talk about it. Because I feel like in every single situation that I was in, where I've spoken with someone where I disagree with him fully, we've came off better. Even though we leave there, we still don't agree with each other, but we spoke about it.
Exactly, you understand each other.
We understand, yes. Yeah. So I think that's where also me and B and I comes in. Like, we have different backgrounds, but we do like agree on a lot of things, and we disagree on a lot of things as well. But we always talk about it. There's never a point where no, I don't agree with you, or he doesn't agree, and then we walk away and it's unresolved. No, we resolve it, and then respectfully. Like, there's a number of people in my life that I can name up who I have this relationship with, which is good, and it doesn't always have to be family. That's the thing. The support structure doesn't always have to be family. I think I've had, like, one of my best mates is in the States right now, and we are not we're not, we are not, there's nothing about us that's relatable with blood or anything, but we just have a very deep understanding, and we understand where, like, our morals lie, and we, like, he always checks up on me and I always check up on him. Nice. And we always keep each other grounded. And I think that's the most important thing. I think he keeps me grounded with faith in God. And we do the same, because it's very important to us. It's very important.
That's a very good foundation to have.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's where my foundation and understanding comes from. Because the reason why I say it's also not a good thing to be outspoken is because not a lot of people will understand what you're saying. You'll be misunderstood very easily, and I feel like I'm as a person, I'm very misunderstood by a lot of people, because I would say things not from a worldly or earthly view, but from a godly view, and from a,
for sure,
you understand, and that's not always it's not always
believe you me, I know.
It's the thing. At the end of the day, I'll always stand firm on what I believe in, and I know there's people out there that's not going to believe in the things that you believe in. They don't have to. It's fine. But with my sport, I've seen how God has plucked me out of a situation. Like even like I mentioned earlier, like I was not supposed to go to China, but it was a miracle. Yeah, like it took one race. It was a miracle. This entire season I was doing okay, but you know, that one race set me up and put me on a global stage again. And being there on a global also like changed me as a person. It changed my whole mindset. It changed me like, because I saw that, you know what, I am good enough to compete with these people. Like I am good enough. Like nothing's gonna hold me back now. Like my whole mindset changed, shifted. So
it's amazing. Now that's truly amazing. We're going to take another short break, and when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a bit of medals, we're going to talk a bit of podiums, and as you heard Thembo also say that he basically got into a global space of doing what he does. We're going to chat. Thembo, I spoke to you about basically the longevity of your sport, and also being patient, and you have reached silver and you've reached bronze. How long have you been running?
That's a good question. Professionally, I'm going for my eighth year this year. So I started taking athletics professionally or seriously since when I was like 16, 17. But I've been running since grade 1. And I've always been in the mix.
Professionally, you haven't reached gold as yet.
Yes.
Why haven't you gone, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. 8 years, oh my gosh.
No, 8 years. No, it's a thing of, it's something that I'm thinking about obviously now where the maturity comes in. It is something that I'm thinking about globally and not just nationally, globally to achieve. Obviously, like throughout this 8 years, it's been ups and it's been downs and it's been back and forth. Within this short period of time, this 8 years, I took 2 steps back to give 10 now. So all of those things that I went through was part of this 8 years that I'm in right now. And I always tell myself, listen, but if I didn't go this route back then, where would I be now? And I'm like, okay, but you can't really say that because, you know,
you are where
you're supposed to be. Because let's say, for instance, you didn't do all of those things, you wouldn't have grown to the person you fully like can become. And it's a thing of that's where the patience and faith comes in. Of you don't have it yet, but keep it there. Like it's there. Like the long-term goal is that, but you can't focus too much on that. You need to focus on what you're doing right now, every single day.
That is so important.
Yes. Yeah. So whatever I'm doing right now is potentially going to help me there. So it's all a long-term game. And the thing is, like, that's why it's so important to lock in right now. Because knowing that you can't run forever. You're not gonna run forever. So it's time to like get to it. And I think I've been doing this for like, like I've been on my feet, not on my feet, but I stumbled. I was 19, 20, 21. And then from 22, 23, things started to slowly get back. Not fully, but slowly. Even now, like I'm now running the times where my body is comfortable with. Nice. So now obviously the goal is to go under 10 seconds. So now that's the big goal. Yes, that
is like literally, it is like a bolt. Tell me, balance this out for me. Having respect from the people that you run with, from your coaches, or having respect for yourself.
Yo, you need to ask that question again, eh? You need to ask that question again. Yeah?
Balance it out. Having respect from your coaches, having respect from the peers that you run with, or having respect for yourself. What is higher, what is lower?
It's a very good question. That's a very good question. I would say, you know what, now, I would say having respect for yourself, because, you know, like, at the end of the day, you respect your peers, you respect the athletes you're running against, but you can't have too much respect, because I might be wrong, it might be just an athlete thing, like, having too much respect can sometimes not be good, because now it's like you are undervaluating yourself and you're making yourself less. Like, obviously, like, within the sport, but outside of the sport, it's a different story. Outside of the sport, I would say, like, have respect for other people. Understand? That's where I'm saying within the sport, it's
the sport, be confident.
Be confident, yes. It's different, because you can't have too much respect, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to win. No one wants to lose. Like, everyone wants to win. Like, have respect for your peers, but, like, have more respect for yourself. Like, you know, and if I say having more respect for yourself, it's like, it's so much, it's a lot of things that needs to be taken into consideration, because having respect for yourself is not having late nights, not going out where you're not supposed to go out, not, you know, being on your phone until 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning.
My guy, TikTok.
TikTok. That's that. Not you know, understand. Not compromising yourself for other people within the sport, once again, because at the end of the day, you can't compromise too much, especially now with the Olympic year. Like, I told myself, you know what, like, I'm someone that, you know what, I always check up and always care about a lot of people, but you know what, like, for now, in this period of time in my life, it's me. Like, it's me, because, you know what, it's something I've always wanted. It's something I've always dreamt about, and it's something, you understand? So now, it's not like you forgetting about the people around you, the people that you're not forgetting, but, like, for this short period of time, you're like, you're respecting yourself enough to put in everything that you have, because if you make it, amazing. But if you, let's say, for instance, have that goal and you don't make it, it's like, okay, but I've done everything I could have done to, like, you not be ready, and I haven't, and I didn't make. It's a different story if you don't make it, but you know why I did not make it. So that's why I'm saying within the sport, it's very important to, like, not have too much respect, but respect yourself more. But outside of the sport, it's different. Like, it's different. It's a whole different conversation, because I feel like outside we need to serve each other. We need to. That's what I'm saying with my job. I don't say job, but with my profession, it's me. It's
nice. Sometimes you have to be selfish, and
yeah, you have to.
Most of the time, we've been taught not to be selfish.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes me being selfish is literally, like the Bible also says, love your neighbor like yourself.
Yes.
If you don't love yourself, how are you gonna love your neighbor?
Yes.
So it starts with being selfish first, so that you can pour that out onto other people. And it can look, it's like you say, you know, in whatever form, if you are disciplined within yourself, you know that the next morning when you get in here, you are hyped and you're good and you're ready to go and you're ready to serve.
Yes.
You were selfish with yourself first.
Yes.
And you were selfish first before the result of you coming in here being on high energy for people to then gain from it, which is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
It brings me to this question, right? And for me, I must say it's still something very difficult. What has losing taught you?
Your losing has taught me a lot. I've learned more from losing than winning. I have learned a lot from winning, but I've learned more from losing. And I think, like I said earlier, it's not nice to lose. No one likes it. It's not nice. But losing, you learn. Like, it helps you to learn, okay, what did I do wrong? Because, you know, maybe...
I'm happy you look at it that way. It is that.
No, you need to look at it that way. Yeah. Because how else are you going to grow from it? Because how else are you going to prevent the same mistake from happening the next time? If you can't accept what has happened, like, you need to accept, okay, but I wasn't at my best right now because of A, Y, and Z, and I'm like, okay, and okay, cool. So then I need to take a step back and reflect. Okay, but what caused it? And having patience. That's once again having patience. Like knowing that, you know what, like if you weren't at your best, and even when you were at your best and still losing, having to have patience and faith that, you know what, like, and there's some things that I need to work on in order to be where I need to be. And you'll never see that if you can't accept the fact of, okay, what can I learn from my loss? Because I've read something from who was this guy? I think it's Nipsey Hussle. He's a rapper. He's dead now. He said the one day, like, if you take your pride away, there's always a lesson you can learn in your pain. So that stood out for me, and I'm like, because and through suffering and through losses, you always ask yourself, why do you need to go through this? Why do you need to go through this? But then again, you need to realize that there's always something you can take from it, and that will benefit you one day. And something that a lot of people has told me as well is, like, you know what, like, God puts you into these things because He loves you. It's not to forsake you. It's not to you know what, like, to crumble you, but it's to grow you. Like, it's to, you know, you need to grow. Like, you need to, you know, and you're not gonna see it that way if you have this, you know, if you have this one-sided mindset. Like, you need to have an overall view.
For sure.
And understanding, like, and you know, you're only gonna see that if you know yourself. I think the most important thing is to know yourself, like, you know, because you are always with yourself. Nobody knows you like you. Like, you are always with yourself. So you need to know what ticks you off. You need to know what makes you happy. You need to know, like, you know, and how you're not gonna know yourself if you keep on winning, because it's nice, you know, you do whatever, but when you lose, who are you?
Yes.
Like,
what side of you comes out?
What side of you comes out? Because that shows a lot. It shows you more than winning. It shows you, like, who you really are as a person. So,
talk about winning. There's an area that I've seen you win so much, and it's in this studio, this gym, and you're a trainer here at BFIT.
Yes.
I must ask you this as well, is how has that changed your life in thinking that you are impacting other people's lives in such a great way? Because I've seen you train people, they come in here and sometimes they just maybe don't want to, their baby going through a bit of a rough patch in their life, and then they walk out of here with smiles, man, and they're ready to take on the world again, you know?
Yes. No, the thing is, I know what the gym and BFIT as a whole has done for me. It changed my life completely.
Sure.
So I was in a dark area in my life, and it changed my whole perspective, my whole mindset of, you know, because obviously when you come here, it's you see people doing things, and because when you don't see it, you would think that a lot of things are impossible. But once you see them doing it, and people that I'm not talking about young people. I'm talking about people 40 plus, 50 plus, pushing the weights they're pushing. You know, preparing for competition. It's crazy, and learning and studying them, how they think, how they do things, how they prepare, how their mindsets are. You know, just being in the environment, it's amazing, and it taught me a lot. And now that I'm here, like, you know, like, now I feel like I was blessed, so now I need to be a blessing for other people. So I can't be blessed and keep it for myself. I need to be blessed to help other people, because the more you do it, the more you are going to be blessed and elevate. And I think you shouldn't do things just because you want to be, like, for me, it's if I see one person on a daily, and that person, and I've changed that person's life, or that person is smiling, then I know I'm doing a good job. Even if we don't even do a session, even if we, like, talk, or, you know, like, because most of the things that we do is also therapy. So even if we just talk and talk about what's going on, I know, and, you know, if they walk out here, and the moment I know that, you know, they are feeling better is when we walk out, they're standing at the gate there, and they're still talking, and talking. And you can see that, you know what, like, this person is feeling better. Then I know, like, you know what,
you've done it.
Yeah.
You into your calling, man.
Yeah, no, it's...
Thembo John Monareng with us on the BFIT Podcast. There is so much that I still want to talk to this guy about, but we're going to do that in another episode. So that was a glimpsie. It was lekker geweest, man. Ons het klaar. So we'll see you again on the next episode of the BFIT Podcast. And as you know, whoever sits in that seat, it's someone very inspiring, someone very entertaining, someone very, guys, the things that happen behind the scenes here. It was recorded for you guys, you'll see. From my side, Thabiso Kambule, any last words from you, Mr. T?
No, you know what, never give up, and always put God first. That's all I have to say.
Okay. That's excellent stuff. That's so like a chatting to you.
Amen.
Till the next episode. Peace.